A shocking new claim from ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons accusing a Democrat Senate staffer of fraudulently posing as legal representation for an illegal migrant.
Well, it turns out that accusation might be true. Now, if you don't know what's going on, basically Senator Tammy Duckworth is being accused of having a staffer who was either pretending to be an attorney or some sort of legal representative in order to help an illegal immigrant basically escape an ICE field office. In fact, Senator Duckworth wrote about 2 sentences to let everyone know we looked into it, the person's fired, and that's all she wrote. So here's the thing. Just 3 days ago on my YouTube channel, we noticed something a little fishy about the form that the staffer was filling out. I'm gonna let the clip speak for itself, and I think you'll see what I mean here in a second.
In order to get an illegal immigrant released from federal custody after he was picked up as part of Operation Midway Blitz. Lyons and his staff released a video they claim shows a staffer named Edward York on October 29th having traveled to Missouri where the detainee was being held. Now, that detainee is Jose Ismael Ayuso Sandoval, and ICE claims he's a 4-time deportee and also has a conviction for DUI. They claim York filled out a G-28 form known as a Notice of Appearance as Attorney or Accredited Representation form, when in fact York, according to ICE, is not an attorney. So the meat of the letter boils down to one line. In a discussion with a federal officer, York claimed to be Mr. Ayuso's attorney.
Okay, so here comes the fun part. This is the actual form we are talking about that staffer was signing in that video. This is a G-28, Notice of Entry of Appearance as Attorney or Accredited Representative. Now, there's only 2 things that really could have happened here, and that's why ICE is really scratching their head. Number 1, that staffer could be the most incompetent staffer ever, and they totally signed the wrong form and they were not paying attention. Or number 2, like it clearly says at the very top of the form, the staffer wrote through this whole form, signed all the documentation with the intent to falsify the documents. Now look, I'm not claiming to be some sort of expert investigator, but I think when you can read the fine print, and it even says right down here, bar number, this entire page has to do with being an attorney, which is why I clarified. You either have to be very incompetent or you're literally lying. Again, I didn't want to make any accusations, but I was pointing out the obvious. This is about being an attorney. And by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well, and I think people want to see what the heck is going on here. Okay, so here's the response from Senator Duckworth, and again, I want to make this very clear. Here's my disclaimer. Senator Duckworth, as of right now, what we know, has nothing to do with this at all. As I make this video, this is all about the staffer who works for Senator Duckworth, who, by the way, we still don't know if they are fully guilty. All we know is that the staffer has been fired after the Tammy Duckworth team has reviewed everything. So of course we're all asking questions. Why would you fire the staffer if they've done nothing wrong? Again, just asking questions, but this is what the senator had to say. I am writing in response to your November 12th, 2025 letter regarding interactions between an employee of my Senate office and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers in the St. Louis ICE field office. Upon reviewing the matter, I can confirm that neither I nor my leadership team was aware of the authorized or directed what your letter describes as the employee's conduct. My office has terminated the employment of said employee effective November 17th, 2025. And that is all we get. We don't get any more details. We don't even get an indication from the Tammy Duckworth team that they know something has happened, that they assume something has happened. All we get is that we looked at it, they're fired, and that is it.
When in fact York, according to ICE, is not an attorney. So the meat of the letter boils down to one line. In a discussion with a federal officer, York claimed to be Mr. Ayuso's attorney. Now, included in the letter is a post from the Montgomery County, Illinois Democrats, apparently from October, stating that a Duckworth staffer was headed to get Sandoval released. It did not intend to reveal that he worked for Duckworth, and Governor Pritzker's office is heavily involved, according to that post. Now, we know that Edward York is, in fact, staff for Senator Duckworth. He is a caseworker who is supposed to help constituents with different problems. He is not listed with the bar in Illinois or Missouri.
Yep.
Duckworth's office confirms they have received the letter. They have found problems with it, right down to the fact that the JB in Governor J.B. Pritzker is spelled wrong.
Okay, so I do want to point out, when you go to the Tammy Duckworth official government page on X, she is active on there, but she has not posted anything about what's happening. In fact, she actually posted, Trump's military occupations of U.S. cities cost $473 million and rising. I guarantee if we click on this, all of the comments are going to be exactly what I think it is. The very first comment. Okay, so this is why I think it's actually a good move for Tammy Duckworth to let everyone know what is happening, or at the very least, maybe just let all of the taxpayers know that everything is okay. Like maybe we're looking into the other staffers. I don't know. I'm just trying to point out the Tammy Duckworth team is being very quiet about this, even on her page. And as you guys saw, she only wrote 2 sentences about it. Now, again, disclaimer, this doesn't mean that the staffer is automatically guilty, but what we do know is that he's been fired, so just putting it out there. And real quick, before we continue, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you up to date with this story and others just like it. And if you see the QR code, that's for people watching TV. It's a lot easier to take your cell phone out, scan the QR code, way easier to subscribe that way. Thank you guys so much for everything. Let's continue. Now, while we're in the state of Illinois, we might as well talk about this brand new story coming out of Chicago. Examples of excessive spending at Chicago public schools. I mean, you're just going to want to see this because we're in Illinois. We talk about Chicago on my channel. I mean, check this out.
Principal booked $400 a night Vegas suite for a conference at a different hotel that started 2 days after his arrival and ended after he left. Teachers took a 4,700 7-day trip to Hawaii for a 4-day professional development seminar. You could have zoomed it, by the way. 15.
Yeah, we have to go to Hawaii for this seminar. That everyone knows this. If you want to be the best leaders on earth, we have to go to Hawaii.
Staff trips to Finland, Estonia, Egypt, and South Africa for professional developmental and school visits. So not only do your results suck, but you're out there traveling around the country, and because you feel impervious because the teachers union put the mayor in office and put the governor in office, so you can go and do these exotic trips, and then you could just put the kids in cargo.
And look, I understand this has nothing to do with Tammy Duckworth, but what it does have to do is pointing out that, hey, money is being wasted, time is being wasted, and that staff member, I mean, who do you think is paying for that? We pay for the staff members belonging to senators. So again, this is just another example of wasting money, and again, it's in the location of Illinois, what we're talking about.
Well, at the same time, going against the charter schools that want to do a better job, that have shown the results, you're seeing these kids go to 4-year universities on scholarships, the same poor kids that they said that could not be educated because of their background. And then we can't get kids to even attend school, but it's no wonder, because if you look at the teachers, they're doing the same thing. 43% of the teachers in Chicago public school logged 10 or more absences for the 24-25 school year. So
Look, guys, this is how we can unite as a country because there's such a divide with the Republican and Democrat. This shouldn't be a Democrat or Republican talking point. This should be a talking point where we come together and make sure we handle this and that the children of the United States actually have some sort of opportunity, maybe to be educated, maybe to become something great in life. And again, all we have to do is simply point out the numbers and point out the facts, and I think the truth will set us free. And glory to God. Thank you, God, so much for allowing us to be able to do this, because I think we need this right now as far as unity in this country.
Kids aren't showing up to school, and the teachers aren't either.
That's just crazy.
That's sad.
That's like half of teachers missing 10 days of school. And I also think, too, about how short the school year is and how short it feels. There's so many days off. But the report cards speak for what's happening there. The 2025 report card there in Chicago, this is for K through 12. 58% of kids are not proficient in reading. 42% are not proficient in math.
Wow.
73% not proficient in math, I should say. That's 3/4 of the students. We should be we should be embarrassed that we're letting this happen in one of our greatest cities.
Now, as I make this video, we do have some breaking news. A state of emergency has been announced within Broadview. Now, Broadview is where you have those protesters who are trying to protest the ICE facility. Well, the local police are getting called out, local politicians are getting called out, and according to the city, these are legitimate threats, and they are taking it very serious. But check out this raw footage where protesters or advocates are like yelling at the police department, who, by the way, the police department does not cooperate with ICE as far as deportations, yet they are now becoming the targets of these clashes and protesting. Because the protesters can't get to the ICE agents, the police officers, they're blocking the protesters. Check this out.
Food drive. It was full of garbage. You put a food drive flyer on it. The flyer doesn't say this isn't garbage. You took food from people to put it in the garbage and then blamed the protesters. It doesn't seem like you're doing shit against ICE. That's up, Chief Mills.
We see this all the time in sanctuary cities. We saw it in Los Angeles especially, where police officers would claim, okay, there is civil unrest, we're going to start to push back with riot control, and protesters would say, hey, why are you working with ICE? So the fact that the police officers look like they're working with Homeland Security, that gets people pissed off. We see this all the time.
Shame on you. It looks like you're helping the... That's pretty clear, man.
And just so you guys know, as I make this video, again, 2 breaking news stories at the end of a video, a judge has allowed for a class action lawsuit against the ICE facility. Quite interesting timing, if you ask me. I don't know if there's any correlation, but it is interesting that the stories are stacking one on top of another. Sorry, I want to clarify, not a state of emergency, but civil emergency. Still a pretty big deal.
Today outside a federal immigration facility in suburban Chicago that has become the epicenter of the anti-ICE movement. In Illinois and elsewhere, the demonstrations are becoming more confrontational. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin is in Broadview, Illinois tonight.
Another Friday, protesters mass in Broadview, Illinois, and shout at the local police who don't execute immigration enforcement.
That's the one detail everyone misses, so I'm glad Fox News called it out. They don't enforce anything when it comes to deportations. They don't work with ICE agents, they don't work with Homeland Securities, yet the local police, state police, sheriffs, they have become the targets now.
They arrive equipped with painter's masks, even a wooden shield anticipating a conflict. At a Coast Guard base near Oakland, California, as protesters rallied, thinking Border Patrol may base there, a U-Haul truck drove in reverse rapidly towards a guard gate. Warnings.
I cannot believe this person survived. They got injured, but I cannot believe, I mean, that is a miracle.
Were ignored and the guards opened fire. 2 injured. Survivors of loved ones killed by illegal immigrants say the protesters don't get it.
You're inconvenient truths to their reality.
Operation Midway Blitz was named in honor of Katie Abraham, killed in downstate Illinois by a Guatemalan man in the U.S. illegally, driving drunk, and with false documentation.
This is a person who shouldn't have been here. If we had a rational, coherent policy or some process, he wouldn't have been here, and then Katie would be here.
21-year-old Jimmy Walden, a U.S. Marine, was killed in 2017 when a Mexican citizen in the U.S. illegally hit his motorcycle head-on.
Okay, so I cover this stuff every single day. It is near impossible to find news outlets that actually give both sides of the story. We know protesters and a lot of left-leaning voters are not happy with ICE. They don't like what's happening at the Broadview ICE facility, but we very rarely ever hear the other side of the family members who lost someone due to somebody who came into the country illegally. But here is the part where I think people can come together, and CNN, they're the ones who came out with this stat. 65% 60% of Americans, generally speaking, are okay with deportations. That is one of the most important stats because that's the majority of people in the country are okay with all deportations. You don't even have to have taken someone's life. But Americans overall, in the 90%, do not like crime. So 65% and the 90%, when you put that together, you can make a safe general assumption, statistically speaking, there are Democrats or people who don't like what's happening at the ICE facility who would be okay with a deportation if that was a criminal. Which means, statistically speaking, Democrats and Republicans have a lot more in common when it comes to the protection and safety of this country. It just so happens that you have a minority of the statistics that don't want deportations, but the majority of the statistics with the American population want the deportations. This is why the stats matter, and this is why we need to make sure we're looking at the full story here. Because why is it we only have so much pushback in these sanctuary cities? That's the question. Okay, so I know this video really took quite the turn and it felt like a roller coaster ride, but that's what the news cycle is like. There's no way to just make one video about one topic. Every topic seems to overlap. Every topic seems to fall within line of these ICE deportations, especially in the context of Illinois, especially in the context of Operation Midway Blitz. Okay, so thank you guys so much for everything. Again, final disclaimer, I am not saying this staffer is 100% guilty. All we know is that the Tammy Duckworth team did fire the staffer, and that definitely does raise some red flags. We want to know if you think he's guilty. We want to know what's going on. We haven't heard anything from ICE as well. So this is the story, and this is currently what's happening in Chicago and in Illinois. Thank you guys so much for everything. God bless, and we'll see you all later. Please pray for peace. We need that right now. We always advocate for unity on my channel. Thank you.